Imagine a world just waking from the Ice Age. There are no cities, no written words, no kingdoms. Only scattered tribes, gathered around fires, gazing up at a sky that must have felt alive with meaning. And then, on a lonely hill in what is now Turkey, our ancestors built something no one expected. Massive stone pillars, carved with animals and symbols, arranged in circles, as if mirroring the heavens themselves. A place that may have been less about worshiping gods, and more about reaching for the stars. What if the very first temple on Earth was not a house of prayer, but the world's first observatory? These are the mysteries we explore here in Other Dimension, where history, myth, and the cosmos meet. If stories like this fascinate you, join us on this journey, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the whispers of the past. For centuries, it was nothing more than a barren mound on the Turkish plains, a hill locals called Göbekli Tepe, meaning Potbelly Hill. Shepherds passed it by, never imagining that beneath its surface lay the ruins of something that would rewrite human history. Then, in 1994, a German archaeologist named Klaus Schmidt arrived. At first glance, he too thought it was just another hill. But when his team began digging, the earth gave up its secret. Not stones of chance, but carved pillars rising from the ground, forming vast circles. What he uncovered was no ordinary sight. It was the world's oldest known temple, dating back nearly 12,000 years, to a time when humanity was supposed to be no more than small tribes of hunter-gatherers. The discovery shocked the world. Civilization, as we thought we knew it, had always begun with farming, cities, and writing. But Göbekli Tepe suggested something far older. A time when people gathered not to survive, but to worship, to carve, to build something that touched the eternal. What had brought these ancient hands together? Hunger and survival? Or something greater? A vision of the cosmos written in stone long before history began? Beneath the dusty soil of southeastern Turkey rises a vision that defies imagination. Massive stone circles, arranged with eerie precision. At their heart stand towering T-shaped pillars, some more than 16 feet tall, each weighing tons. These silent guardians are the oldest megaliths humanity has ever uncovered, carved more than 7,000 years before Stonehenge. What makes them even more extraordinary are the carvings. Snakes slither across the stone, vultures spread their wings, foxes, lions, scorpions, and wild boars seem frozen in time, their outlines etched with a skill no one expected from supposed hunter-gatherers. Some pillars even bear strange abstract symbols, patterns whose meaning we have yet to decode. The real puzzle is not just what they carved, but how they built it. 12,000 years ago, there were no cities, no metal tools, no wheels, and no domesticated animals to pull these colossal stones. And yet here they stand, arranged in perfect circles, as if drawn from a blueprint older than history itself. So who were these builders, and how did a people we once thought primitive leave behind a temple that still challenges our understanding of human civilization? When archaeologists looked closer at Göbekli Tepe, they noticed something strange. The stones weren't just decorated with animals and symbols, they seemed to tell a story written in the language of the stars. One pillar, now famous as the Vulture Stone, appears to record a great cosmic event. Some researchers believe it shows a comet impact around 10,950 BC. The same time, many scientists say a mysterious catastrophe ended the Ice Age and wiped out countless species. Could the builders of Göbekli Tepe have been eyewitnesses to this disaster, carving it into stone as a warning? And it wasn't just this one carving. Circular enclosures themselves seemed to line up with the heavens. Some pillars face the rising of Orion and Sirius, the brightest stars in the night sky. Others may have tracked the sun during solstices and equinoxes, the turning points of the year. But here's the real puzzle. How could hunter-gatherers, with no cities, no wheels, no writing, design a monument that mirrored the stars, unless perhaps the sky itself was their first teacher? To them, the night was not empty. It was alive, filled with gods, spirits, and cosmic signs. And at Göbekli Tepe, stone became a bridge between earth and heaven. When you stand in the center of Göbekli Tepe, surrounded by those towering T-shaped pillars, you can't help but look upward. The stones rise like silent guardians, almost pointing to the heavens above, and maybe that was the point. Some archaeologists now believe Göbekli Tepe wasn't just a temple, it may have been the world's first observatory. Imagine it. Long before telescopes or charts, our ancestors gathering here, watching the sky, marking the passage of stars across the horizon. The pillars seem to align with celestial events, solstices, equinoxes, even the path of the Milky Way itself. To these early builders, the sky wasn't random. It was a great cosmic clock, ticking with meaning. And perhaps Göbekli Tepe was the tool to read that clock. Every season, every shift in the heavens could have been tracked here, not only for survival, but for something deeper. Maybe they believed the stars held the fate of humanity, that the heavens whispered secrets of creation and destruction. In this way, Göbekli Tepe becomes more than stone. It becomes a temple of the stars, a place where humanity first asked the question, what lies beyond us? The carvings at Göbekli Tepe are not random decorations. Look closer, and you'll see foxes, vultures, snakes, scorpions, wild boars, creatures etched with a precision that almost feels alive. But why these animals? Why here at the dawn of civilization? Some believe they were more than symbols. They may have been cosmic messengers. The vulture, for example, often linked to death and rebirth, appears again and again on the stones. Could it represent the soul's journey into the stars? Others see these animals as part of a star map, each carving tied to constellations above. A scorpion in stone could mirror Scorpius in the sky. A vulture might point towards Cygnus, the great swan soaring through the Milky Way. It's as if the builders of Göbekli Tepe were writing the first myths, not with words, but with stone. Stories of creation, destruction, of gods who lived among the stars. And what's even more mysterious, these same symbols appear later in Mesopotamian myths, in Egyptian tombs, even in stories carried by distant civilizations. Did it all begin here? Did the myths of the world first rise from this forgotten hill? At Göbekli Tepe, every carving whispers a possibility, that long before we wrote history, we were already writing the cosmos. And then comes perhaps the greatest mystery of all. Around 8000 BC, something unthinkable happened. The people of Göbekli Tepe, the very same who had built these towering stone circles, buried them, deliberately. Not destroyed, not abandoned to the wind and time, but carefully covered in layers of earth and rubble, as if sealing a secret. Why? Some say it was a ritual closure, that once the stars had shifted, or a cycle of time had ended, the temple's purpose was fulfilled, and so it was respectfully put to rest. Others believe it was an act of protection. Maybe they feared invaders, or maybe they wanted to preserve it for future generations, like a message in a bottle hidden beneath the soil. And then, there are darker theories. That Göbekli Tepe was buried as a warning, that something catastrophic had happened, a cosmic event, a shift in the heavens, or a fear of the unknown. And the builders wanted no one to follow in their footsteps. Whatever the reason, their decision worked. Göbekli Tepe remained lost for over 10,000 years, hidden under a hill that farmers thought was nothing more than nature's work. It waited in silence, like a secret the earth itself chose to guard, until we were ready to uncover it again. Göbekli Tepe is more than stone circles on a forgotten hill. It is a challenge to everything we thought we knew about our own past. For decades, historians believed civilization began with farming, that only after we settled, grew crops, and built villages did we have the time and freedom to dream of gods and stars. But Göbekli Tepe flips that story upside down. Here we see the opposite, a vast temple built before farming, before cities, before writing. It suggests something profound, that maybe it was the worship of the cosmos that first brought humanity together. That the stars, not survival alone, inspired cooperation, planning, and imagination. Perhaps our ancestors weren't just hunters and gatherers. Perhaps they were also dreamers, astronomers of the naked eye, carving their myths and their maps of the heavens into stone. Even today, scientists are still unraveling the site's mysteries. Some of its carvings echo myths that would later appear in Mesopotamia and Egypt. Others hint at knowledge of the sky far older than we imagined possible. And that raises a haunting question. Were the stars humanity's first gods? Did the night sky give birth not just to myth and ritual, but to civilization itself? Göbekli Tepe stands as silent proof that long before the first telescope, long before Newton or Galileo, humanity had already begun to read the universe, with nothing but their eyes, their stories and their stones. Long before cities rose, before books were written, before science had a name, our ancestors stood together beneath the night sky. At Göbekli Tepe, they left behind more than stone. They left a message. The message carved in circles and symbols and animals and constellations. A message that whispers across 12,000 years. Never stop looking up. Maybe they weren't just building a temple. Maybe they were building a bridge between earth and stars, between myth and knowledge, between the human spirit and the infinite unknown. Even today, as we launch telescopes into space and dream of reaching other worlds, we are still doing what they once did, staring at the sky, asking who we are, where we came from, and what waits beyond the darkness. Göbekli Tepe isn't just ruins. It's a reminder that the hunger for meaning, for mystery, for the cosmos has always been with us, and perhaps always will be. If mysteries like this fascinate you, and if you want to journey deeper into the forgotten corners of history and the cosmos, then join us here in Other Dimension. Subscribe, share your thoughts, and step with us into the unknown, because this is only the beginning.